everyone, welcome to Adobe Live on Behance. I'm Erica Larson, an art director at Adobe, and I'm here with my friend, teammate, an amazing illustrator and designer, Lidia Lukianova. It's Illustration Week here at Adobe Live, and Lydia's going to show us how she creates an augmented reality illustration. Who knows what that is? We'll find out a little later, but for now, I'd love for everyone to welcome Lydia in the chat. Say hello, tell us where you're watching from. Hi, Michael. Okay, Jose, Kat, hey, where are y'all from? Someone's cooking and making submissions. Switzerland. Kathleen is watching from 20 feet away. All right, to recap, yesterday Lydia spent a lot of time in Adobe Sketch, and she drew this gorgeous bird. And today she's going to take it into Illustrator Draw, vectorize it, and then finish it up in Illustrator. And Lydia, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit while I show some of your work?
Yes, so I'm a designer on Adobe Studio team, and what I do is actually what I enjoy to do best, and that is creating illustrations and art and graphics and lettering to promote our tools and products, and also I work on developing inspirational content for our tutorials, for example 1-minute YouTube videos that you can find on Adobe Creative Cloud channel on YouTube. And I also was lucky to collaborate with Brian Yap, who is an illustrator and a creative director on Adobe Studio team, to collaborate creating music posters for Adobe Max. And so this one, which has augmented reality in it, was the last project, and I wanted to show my process and how we did it during these 3 days using a postcard project idea that could be useful for a lot of illustrators who want to promote their work and send out not just a static image, but an image that is enhanced through animation or video to make it interesting for their potential clients or people hire them. So I would like to demo how the augmented reality actually works with this, and so there are two parts to augmented reality projects. At least the way we figured it out is we create the static image, the actual poster on an iPad, and then created animations in Photoshop and overlaid those two using a free AR design tools that are called HP Reveal. So it's basically a website you go to, and it has like a design studio, and you upload there all your assets, and that is the poster image and then the video overlay. And the next step you need to take is to download a free HP Reveal app, and then you just look at your poster through the camera on your phone, and you see how the poster gets animated.
It's amazing. So basically your phone is a window and the animations show up through that.
Yes.
It's so cool.
Can you?
Yeah. So you see the heart flashing. Each window has a different animation, right? That's so cool.
It's still translating in.
It's gonna get smarter and smarter. So we're basically creating an illustration in a postcard format that does something similar, right?
Yes, that's a mini poster project.
Cool. So while Lydia's working, we want you to be making things too. Today's challenge is to create an illustration celebrating Lunar New Year and the Year of the Dog. So if you're watching from elsewhere that's not Behance, definitely mosey on over to be.net/live and click on that challenge tab where you'll see all the information about the challenge, and you'll be able to download a really nifty template to send you on your way. You have about an hour and a half to create something, and once that's wrapped up, Lydia will judge all of you with her keen eye. But if that's too much commitment, we also have a giveaway. So all you have to do to participate there is to, on Behance, participate in the chat, and you will win this soft, cushy, travel size, and very bright orange pillow. And again, that's on be.net/live. So with that out of the way, do you want to dive into the project?
Yes. So yesterday, so the tools I'm going to use for this project, and that's what we use to make the poster. iPad apps, the Photoshop Sketch app, and then Illustrator Draw app, which are free. You can just download them anytime to test them out. And then, as I said, the animations were done in Photoshop. So this is the three main tools I'm using. And I also used Illustrator just to kind of clean up some our illustrations done on iPad and Draw. So yesterday I was drawing birds, which are my animation, and I was using reference images that I found on Adobe Stock. And to create pencil sketches, I used Photoshop Sketch, which is like a mini Illustrator. It has the layers and so you can easily place images in it and then start kind of tracing over. And so I put all my birds on separate layers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this project into Photoshop.
So each of those birds will become a frame, essentially?
Well, each of these birds will become a separate layer, and then we're going to create a frame animation. Can you show my screen?
So we're moving into Photoshop.
So in Photoshop, I switched from the Essentials mode to motion mode to get access to this timeline panel. So here are all my layers.
It's cool. A lot of people don't even know that that's there.
So each bird is on a separate layer already. So to create, well, first let's align the birds in the order I want. So this one is going to be the first one, the first frame. I'll move it up just to know where it is. Delete this one. So the white flap bird is going to be the second one.
Do you see the animation in your head when you start? Does that help? Or do you kind of figure it out along the way, what order things have to be in?
Well, it's always good to do some planning, and but this is such a simple animation, so it's not. We don't need to do. Yeah, we don't need to do a lot of thinking. But planning is always good. Yes, you need to know what the result you want to achieve. But then, so that's why we're doing this test using pencil sketches and not the actual vector birds. So that not to waste time by drawing all those details and then bring them into Photoshop and see that, oh, it's not working.
It's very sensible. someone was asking, Dawn was asking if you use a stylus. And it looks like you're using an Apple Pencil.
Yes, so I'm using an iPad Pro and an Apple Pencil to make sketches, and Photoshop Sketch app. No paper, no pencil anymore, just the iPad and the mobile apps. Okay, this one is going to be number 4. So I'm going to align the birds and put them all in one place.
I'm fidgeting, and I'm sure this is gonna come down. Did I help at all?
I'm not creating frame animations, I'm just trying to align the birds first, because they were kind of all over the place in my sketch as I imported it into Photoshop.
Kind of looks beautiful like that.
Okay, I think that's close to what I want. So now, now let's create some frames. So this is going to be number 1, and I'll click this Create Frame Animation button. So that's my first frame, and then to add another frame, I'll click on this little New Frame button, and I deselect the first layer and then select the second layer, the second image in my sequence. And then I repeat the process and just add another frame, deselect the previous image and select the next one. So I have 4 frames and 4 different bird images, and that's my sequence.
Looks great. Folks are asking if you used, if you drew those from life.
As I said, I used a reference image yesterday, but I kind of made a collage of my birds, like took a wing from a different photo and feet from a different photo, just to make the birds look the way I want. So it's, yeah, it's like tracing in a way, and then adding details just from imagination. Okay, let's see how it plays. I will choose the loop option here and then just hit play.
It's a hummingbird.
Maybe I want it to go a little slower, so I will select my frames here and then set a delay. Let's see. Yeah, just a little bit slower,
Beautiful.
smoother. So I think it works. Oops, it works pretty well as a pencil sketch, and I think I'm ready to start actually vectorizing all of those 4 images.
So oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry.
I was just going to say that folks are saying, wow, that's so cool, love it. I didn't know you could do animation in Photoshop. They're already impressed.
Good, well, I guess we're done.
All right,
we can move on. Well, so the actual result of today's session, what we want to achieve is the postcard. We want to start layouting the postcard.
Great.
Which is the static image, and then tomorrow we'll create the we'll export our animations, and we'll use the HP Reveal tools to overlay the postcard, the postcard image, and the animation.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then we'll look at it at the augmented reality with the help of the app, HP Reveal app. That is free.
So just to recap for folks that are just joining us, Lidia is creating an augmented reality postcard. She started her sketches, which she's showing now on her screen, in Adobe Photoshop Sketch, which is a mobile app. And she just created an animation test so that she's well prepared to basically finalize illustrations in vector format in Adobe Illustrator Draw. And tomorrow she'll basically create the final animation for the augmented reality aspect of the project.
Yep, that's right.
HP Reveal is the app that you've been using.
Yes, or previously Orasma app.
All right.
Okay, let's go back to the iPad.
All right. And we're using Illustrator Draw.
Yes. So I'm going to use this image as my reference in Illustrator Draw. So I will just save it as an image to my camera roll.
So this is in Sketch moving the image to Draw.
Now I'm going to Adobe Draw, which is a vector drawing app. So it allows you to create vector illustrations that are scalable, and you can easily send them to Illustrator and then fine-tune the details and add colors, add backgrounds. And that's what we're going to do in the end when we start layouting our postcard. Okay, I'm going to add a new document. Oops.
So while Lydia's getting started, I just want to mention that we do have a challenge. If you click over to the challenge tab on Behance, be.net/live, you'll see that there's a template that you can use to get started on your illustration, which should be inspired by Lunar New Year and the Year of the Dog.
Okay, ran out of battery. Too much drawing, and I need to recharge my Apple Pencil. I wish they lasted forever. Okay, so what
Essential tools.
what I'm doing now, I'm placing my pencil sketch into Adobe Draw as an image layer.
Hold on just a minute. Oh, you can keep speaking.
And
There we go.
so I'm going to basically trace over my sketches here. I will lower the opacity and use a separate layer to trace over. So by default, we have in Adobe Draw all these brushes with different nibs, and I like to use in my projects a tapered line brush.
See if this one works.
You need to sync it.
I'll just talk about brushes right now.
Let's just get like 2 minutes and then get to
I will just demo how the brush strokes look.
Do you normally use the defaults, or do you fuss with them a little bit?
I use the defaults,
That's
but
amazing.
there is you can customize your brushes. Like when you go to this, tap on this extra settings, you can change the angle of your brush and the amount of the taper value.
It's really
You can,
useful.
Yeah, choose the pressure dynamics, so it's pressure sensitive with the Apple Pencil, or velocity dynamics here, which is the change in speed. But normally I just keep it as a default. And
I think you might be the exception. Do most people use custom brushes when they're working? Let us know in the chat.
Mm-hmm. And then there is this brush here. It's like round end brush, which is very useful if you want to achieve like an engraving etching effect to your illustration. Oops. Well, here, can I use my pencil now?
Sure. having some difficulty with the pencil.
Go ahead and sync it again.
We're just going to quickly sync the pencil again. You pick up where we left off in just a second. In the meantime, we could look at some of the submissions for the contests that have already come in. I have no idea how you all work so quickly. So Kevin Worth has submitted this gorgeous fireworks image. An adorable dog.
Yeah, and that's the dog New Year. Right?
Don't exactly know what's going on here, but I like it. There's something very charming about that character.
Well, he killed the cat.
Oh, well.
Or we think it's a cat.
This looks happy about it. This one's animated. I wonder if...
In After Effects.
Cynthia, did you use After Effects, Photoshop? How did you make this? John Much says, LOL, Year of the Cat is over. Just keep them coming. We're really enjoying looking at these.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I think animation is such a great way to make art interesting.
Daniel says, sorry, cat people. Christina says, love the floating dog. Sied is asking how long we have to submit. We're going to wrap up at 2:30 and judge the submission. So you have an hour. How's that going?
Okay, I think it's church now.
Okay, we're back.
So I was talking about this, the brush that helps to create engraving effect, and because it has this really nice texture and look. The stroke that varies. Looks like an engraving. Okay, well that's enough. I'm not going to use any of this.
And an eraser. Very useful.
So what I want to recreate right now is that, and that's, for this I'm going to use the tapered line brush. I like the sharpness of the lines, which goes well with the nature of the bird and feathers and the movement. Okay. Let's create a new draw layer and just start drawing over it. And use the brush and just the eraser, two main tools.
Cynthia, who submitted the floating dog, says she animated it in After Effects and made the GIF in Photoshop.
Nice. Did she use frame animations for that? Or how did she make the...
How did you
GIF?
make it, Cynthia? Let us know.
Share your process.
Yes.
So I like to just roughly outline a bird here, and then I will figure out the details. And sometimes it takes a while to really understand like what I want to achieve in the end, how it should look, where the shadows are, the highlights.
And this helps you figure that out.
Yeah, I have an intuitive approach, I guess, to drawing. I'll just start draw, and then I get an idea later of the look or how much detail I want. Sometimes I'm thinking like I'll keep it simple and not fill in, but then at the same time I like all the details, so I started adding more and more and more, and in the end it turns out to be very detailed, elaborate kind of a artwork, which was my initial intent, but it works. And that's what I like about art, is that there is no wrong or right ways of doing it. You just do it and see what works.
So
what looks good.
If it sounds like you really enjoy adding the detail and just the process of drawing. How do you know when something is finished and when you have to step back and decide to stop working on it?
Sometimes I don't know, but when you have a deadline, you just have to stop. So I think that's the answer.
Christina's asking if it's easier to draw first and then trace, or do you ever draw without tracing anything?
That's a good question. I guess both approaches work depending on the project and the piece. Well, actually, there is one thing that you can do with your own sketch, and that is, like, I don't even have to actually create an outlines for the bird. I can use a tool that comes with Adobe Draw. It's called Capture app. And what you can do, I'll just show it really quick as a tip. So what you can do, you can create vector outlines from your sketch. I'm not sure why it's not working. Let's go back.
But basically, you can use it to either pull an image from your camera roll or take a photo, and Capture will make vectors for you. And I know that you've used that technique in the past. For example, if you don't really feel like drawing all the waves and some water, you can capture an image. Here we go. She'll show you exactly how.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so here it is. It's like tracing in Illustrator.
So some of you might be familiar with Live Trace or Image Trace in Adobe Illustrator. This is sort of a version of that in your pocket.
That comes with the Illustrator Draw.
Yeah, and it's free. It's the best part.
Like, you can erase the birds that you don't need. Save this one. And then it will place this outlines into the app and create a new layer, and I will hold long press and fill it with color, and then I can also transform it and make it bigger, the size I want.
That's so nifty. So you could use that, to kind of put you more toward a finished product, or you could use it as a sketch guideline, or if you had a whole flock of birds, you could stamp a bunch of them.
And it's not perfect, and it needs to cleaning and refining, but if you work in a small if it's just a small graphic of some sort, then it could work for you. But what I normally do is, when I use Capture, is I clean up a lot of things I don't like. I erase things I don't like, parts I don't like, and then sometimes just draw over.
Because you love
the
that
traced
tapered
image.
line.
Yeah, or whatever brush I'm using at the moment. But this is just a quick tip, so that you know that there is this a feature called Capture CC that comes with the Adobe Draw that you can use to quickly trace your pencil sketch or your image. It could be even a photograph. You can place a photo into your Adobe Draw and then make outlines, vector outlines. Okay, I'm going to do
Voodoo Val says Adobe Capture is literally magic, and I totally agree.
Yes. Okay, back to do it the normal way I do it, and just draw over.
So just a reminder, when you participate in the chat, you are eligible for a giveaway of this beautiful Illustrator pillow. And there's also, if you're watching on Behance, if you visit the challenge tab, there's a contest where you create an illustration inspired by the Lunar New Year and Year of the Dog and submit it to us, and we'll judge them at the end. And you'll win a year-long CC subscription.
So another useful thing about Illustrator Draw is that you can rotate angle when you draw any way, any direction you want, which makes it very convenient, similar to Photoshop Sketch. So you don't have to do it with your iPad.
Yeah, it can be annoying to be turning that every which way. Pillow hype. Everyone wants the pillow.
So how many of you use Illustrator Draw? Have anybody tried it?
Yeah, tell us what you're drawing with on your iPad Pro. And also let us know what your experiences have been with augmented reality. Have you created anything that uses this technology before? I'm interested. I feel like you're pretty cutting edge, Lydia.
I don't feel that, but thank you.
People are saying never tried it. Never tried. John says, I am using a mouse. How did you, Christina's asking, how do you learn augmented reality?
Well, I got a project, and part of the brief was to make it augmented reality. So that's why I started basically searching on the internet, like what. Well, first of all, I didn't know what augmented reality is, so I went to Google and read a whole bunch of articles about that, and also what is the difference between AR and VR, for example, augmented reality versus virtual reality. And so yes, I needed to educate myself, and I was looking for like free tools that allow me to create AR experience. And also we wanted to avoid, like when we were working on the poster, we wanted to avoid using any kind of QR codes, and just have the illustration serve as a trigger for the AR to show up.
Because you don't want a QR code in your poster that's hanging on your wall, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of cool. You would never know what is behind the windows if you...
Yeah, and I tried several other tools that are available, but they didn't quite work, or they partially worked, or they were a little tricky to figure out how to make work. So that's why... Well, Aurasma app was very easy and intuitive, the interface when you go to the website. So you need to create an account to get access to the, I would call it like a design studio, the tools that you use. And it was just very simple, straightforward, which I like in anything. And it worked great. It was the right tool at the right time.
Perfect.
But those things change a lot because it's a kind of a new concept, and I'm sure there will be even more tools like that. So I'm constantly on the lookout for the next available one.
Melissa Lockman says, this is gorgeous.
Thank you. It's good to hear that. It's nice to know that you create something that people like. I mean, what was most important is that you enjoy doing what you're doing, but when you know that it's also as useful and other people appreciate what you do, it's like motivates you to continue doing it and just be better at it.
So Candace Candace says, I used AR for a photo gallery show that featured photography of New Zealand from the Lord of the Rings movies. When visitors use phones or iPads on the photos, the scene from the movies would appear. That is super cool.
Yeah, I wish I could see that. Does he have it on his Behance profile?
Yeah, if it's on Behance, send us a link.
Share it.
And keep those challenge submissions rolling in. If you don't know what we're talking about, go ahead and mosey on over to Behance, be.net/live. If you're not already there, click on the challenge tab, and you'll have everything you need to get started on an illustration inspired by the Year of the Dog. And for those just joining us, we are with Lidia Lukianova, and we're working on an augmented reality postcard, and we're working in Adobe Illustrator Draw to create basically frames that will become an animation.
Yes, which we'll send to Photoshop. So the postcard will look like this. We'll have a bird in.
Oh, if we could share her desktop.
So this is our postcard. And when we'll view it through the phone, we'll see the bird moving and then the concentric circles kind of pulsating.
Cool. I can't wait to see
as
that.
our AR experience. Yeah.
You'll have to tune in tomorrow to see the animation happen.
Well, we also did a test before at the beginning today. We animated the pencil sketches I did yesterday just to make sure that the birds work, the bird illustrations work the way I want in an animation. So that's like a rough test before I started vectorizing the birds.
And it's already gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, technically we could just make it in a Photoshop Sketch app and then just in Photoshop, but it wouldn't be vector. It wouldn't be scalable.
Right. But it's totally a usable workflow. If you just, used a different tool inside Sketch, that would be a finished piece. Who's going to try this technique? Lee Cooper says the postcard is just a personal project, but it would be a great way to promote yourself to a potential client. That's
exactly. That's our sales pitch
right.
of this project. That's the benefit of what you learn during these 3 days.
Marie says, I'm going to because I wanted to try some small rotoscope style GIFs.
What is that?
Can you explain what a rotoscope is? I think I know, but you can probably give me a better description. Julie is asking about how long we have until the deadline. We're going to be reviewing submissions for the giveaway at 2:30 or so. So you have a little time. Christina says, great animation. Marie is not going to convert hers to vectors, so I'm super stoked to see the animation workflow. Me too.
Me too.
So what about animating in Photoshop made you choose that over another technique of animation?
I'm not an animator, so that's why, and I have a more traditional drawing background, so the concept of frame animation is is intuitive to me, and that's why I took a traditional classic approach to creating frame animations.
I love that technique because it is super accessible to folks who don't have animation experience. And if you're an illustrator, you can see we made that animation in 5 minutes. So
Mhm.
it's totally doable even if you don't have a ton of animation experience.
I mean, I could go to After Effects, but it would be a little tricky for me because I'm not an active After Effects user
Mm-hmm.
to figure out all the keyframes and I didn't want to make it. Well, another reason why I'm using Photoshop too is that I wanted to keep the task simple, like as simple as possible, and that's why I chose Photoshop over anything else.
Where's everybody watching from? I'm interested to know. And have you ever used Illustrator Draw? And what have you made with it? Miami, Albania, Lauren's from Michigan, Omar's from Puerto Rico. We have Candace from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Oregon, that's where I went to school. Jay-Z is in snowy London.
Snowy London.
Natalia's in the Ukraine. John Much is in Portland, that's where I went to school.
What school was that?
Rather not say. Jose is from
They should be
Ecuador.
Proud of you.
Mustafa's from Egypt. We have Maryland, Netherlands. Hector's from Mexico. Andres is watching while working.
And where is that?
Houston. So many different places. Yeah, this is amazing.
Who's actually drawing right now and not just watching?
And hopefully on the challenge so that you can win stuff. Carrie's also watching while working. So I think yesterday you and Ren were trying to pull the chat for a name for this fella. Is that right?
Oh yeah. Well, I think we're still trying to figure out how
Okay.
to name him.
So if you have any
Oh,
suggestions for this bird's name, send them our
somebody
way.
said we should call it a pillow because we're talking about pillows so often, which I'm not sure if it really works.
I'm not super behind the pillow name. Marie says, okay, I need to rein in on my focus. Later, my fellow design peeps, awesome work. We'll check back tomorrow. Thanks, Lydia. And thank you, Marie, for sticking with us, and we're really excited to animate this tomorrow.
Thank you.
Should we look at some more Year of the Dog submissions? If we could switch to my desktop. Perfect. I like this one. It's literal, but I like it.
Wow, this one is pretty cool in
I like
terms of
the-
concept too. I like that. So that's the 2018.
Oh, I didn't
The
even see that.
Yeah, the Lish.
I actually really like that lettering.
Smart.
And the bone is just out of reach. It's tough. Ariane,
Wow,
Has
that one
a-
is really cool.
what, a thug pug?
It's like a
Did you draw?
gangster dog.
Did you draw all those roses? It looks like they could have been made in Illustrator Draw, don't they?
Yeah,
I like
similar
it.
style. And it's just endearing in a way.
It is
I mean,
endearing.
they have this really dangerous looking dog, but golden roses in the background, so it's not as dangerous as it looks like.
Like most things, right?
Yeah, if you dig deeper, everybody has a kind of soft core to them. with some things.
I like to believe that too. Here we have a greyhound. Is that what that is? Or is it a whippet? Who knows? But I really like the palette. I like what you did with the typography. It has depth, and I have no idea how you executed this so quickly. Good job. This is from Ibrahim. We have some hand lettering. What do you think?
How's it done?
Yeah, how did you make this? It looks like there may have been a couple of apps involved.
It almost looks like watercolor with a little bit of pencil work over it somehow.
Yeah, did you start this with traditional media? How did you make this? And we have Eduardo. The year of the dog is usually a good year. It is a good time to make friends, create groups, and everything that has to do with cooperation.
Yeah, that's so true.
So
about
true.
our work.
Nothing gets done around here without cooperation. So those are excellent submissions from Eduardo Manjares and Ibrahim Aho. These are so beautiful, you all. Thank you so much for sharing your work with us. Oh, you're starting to add some extra detail and shadow and contrast. Did you make your brush thicker?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I just kept it as it is.
It's so interesting how you managed to make the beak look a little bit shiny with just a few lines.
Oops.
Ibrahim says, my wife started started it as a pencil sketch, and then he stylized it in Photoshop and Illustrator. Cooperation indeed. Everyone's doing it. So for those of you who are just joining us, we're working in Illustrator Draw right now, creating an illustration that Lydia will animate in order to create a very cool augmented reality postcard.
Yeah, so I'm going to vectorize all 4 birds, or at least show how to do it using Illustrator Draw on an iPad. I actually have them all vectorized already. Oops.
No.
Okay, I wasn't supposed to say that.
It's all happening right now live.
Well, it is. We're not lying. I mean, this one, we had like, what, 20 minutes to make it?
It's interesting. So I know that probably many of you didn't see the source imagery that we grabbed from stock, Lydia grabbed from stock to create this bird, but to me right now, the bird's looking a little bit tropical. I don't know if it's...
Yeah, so it's supposed to be
Yeah.
a sparrow, but it's not a sparrow anymore.
Not anymore.
I mean, in my head, I almost see it like a bluebird for some reason. A bluebird of hope.
Wow, we're really optimistic today. Joe White says, actually, Bob Ross did that. He'd draw 3 versions, one to practice, one for recording, and another one.
I think everybody does that. Well, let's be honest. You have to do some prep work. Who would expect you just to walk into the room, the students, sit down and create something cool? You have to do your homework for anything.
It's very important.
But it's a good opportunity to do this kind of live streams and try to draw in real time with a deadline. It's just like, it's a challenge.
Mm-hmm. I always find that doing things a second time, it's always better. Also, in terms of quality.
Often it is, yeah, because you already know how you want it to look and how you want it to work.
And you learn from your mistakes.
Yes, all the time. You can't avoid mistakes, especially in a creative profession. Though they say that the difference between a designer and an artist is that a designer should always know what the final result is, and the artist keeps it open to experimentation. Because art is about experimenting and about process, and design is about meeting the deadlines, meeting the brief requirements, and the client's expectations.
I disagree. I mean, those are facts of life, but I almost never know what I'm doing when I start a project. And I have to screw up a bunch of times before I get it right. Who else is like me?
Well,
Kathleen's raising her hand.
well, hopefully your client doesn't tell you that you screwed up, and that's when you realize that, oh, I screwed up.
No, you do it behind closed doors. With what you show them is totally pristine. Saphira is with me. Dawn says, Sparrow transformed to majestic eagle.
Majestic eagle, I like that. Maybe that will be the name of the bird, majestic eagle. Well, really? He's a little bit soft to be an eagle.
He is soft. I like him.
Okay, I think we defined the gender, so it's definitely him.
Okay, for those of you just joining, we're working on a name for this gentlemanly bird. Help us out. Majesty, Hector says.
Majesty. I don't know where all these royal names come from. I mean, there's.
I don't know, he just looks
He
refined.
looks so humble. I mean,
I think he
really
looks humble.
interesting.
I'm with you. Little eagle, Jade says.
Little eagle. Okay.
That's cute. Feathers are so ambitious.
Ambitious feathers. That could be a name. It's almost like a band name too. Ambitious.
Darwin the bird, Hemingway. If it were a hummingbird, Hemingway would probably be a really good name.
It's really a good one, yeah.
Kat says, a soft, gentlemanly bird. He really is. Optimistic. Robinson, Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow. Okay.
We're drawing feathers. Jasser says, I can't say it. Ptichka should be the name of the word.
Yeah, that means a bird in Russian.
Oh, okay, I'm glad it. Tweety McFeathers. Okay. Jim says, I love the line weights and variations. It's already awesome, but color is going to rock it.
I'm going to disappoint you. We're not adding a lot of color to this bird. We're going to keep it simple, but we're going to have bright geometric background, which I showed in Illustrator. I have already laid out in Illustrator.
If we switch the desktop, she'll show you the finished product that in our timeline doesn't actually exist yet.
Yeah. So for the...
Valentine, that's a really good one.
Oh, I think I like that.
Yeah. Unal, that's a great name.
Okay, I think that's the one.
Valentine.
Well, we're still filtering
Okay.
through the names, but that will be like the top one.
Tentatively named Valentine. Jade asks, Lydia, do you work on client-based projects and personal work, or has your personal work turned into client work?
Probably the latter, but I do like to self-initiate projects. For example, right now I'm working on 100 fake album covers. It's like my Instagram project on Instagram and a separate account. So I challenged myself to design 100 fake album covers, and there are no deadlines. I mean, I'm not.
How far along are you? How many have you finished?
Oh, I have 11.
Okay.
11 covers.
That's a good start.
The reason why I decided to do it is I just wanted to experiment with styles. I want to try different illustration styles and also start doing photography more and create some purely like photographic images and maybe do some stage photography for those, which could be interesting.
How does so you said they're fake, right? So there's no actual music attached to them?
No actual music, no specific bands. It's just something that, well...
But I
they're
know
not
that you love
existent.
music. Does it
Yes.
ever inform your projects?
I would say that listening to music inspires me to create certain images. So when I listen to music, there's a lot of different, I don't know, like some imagery comes up in my head and I'm thinking, oh, that would make a good cover or a nice illustration. So definitely music is a very strong, inspiring force in my life.
So in the chat, let us know what you've been listening to lately and what kind of music inspires your work. Devin wants to know if you mind if he or she does the 100 album cover challenge too.
Oh, please.
He says
Actually,
maybe 50.
yeah, you can be realistic. Just make it like 7, so a week challenge. But actually, I wanted to kind of make it a community experience. And,
Now's your chance.
Yeah, I wanted people to follow and like start doing it on themselves too.
Should they tag you? Should they tag you in their...
No.
No?
You don't have to. I mean, you can do whatever you want, and I won't mind if you tag me. But I think it's cool when a small little personal project grows into something bigger and more communal. Because people can also like share their results and ask for feedback and get inspired from each other. Maybe they will come up with like fake bands and create like album covers for these fake bands. I don't know. I see a lot of possibilities for collaboration with those kind of things.
Voodoo Val says she's been listening to Star Wars audiobooks while she works. Brian says people like Lydia and Kirk inspire me. Just so nice.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Maunier listens to Italian opera and Yanni.
So I like when I work. Well, actually, when I work, I don't like to listen to anything most of the time. But sometimes I get in the mood for ethnic music, and I really love Peruvian tunes.
Gabriel says he's been listening to Afrobeat.
Yeah, so that too. There is something just makes my creative juices flowing.
It's energetic. I think that's half of
Energetic
it.
and also natural, I would say, in many ways, but colorful and rich and unique. It's not something that could be easily recreated by anyone.
Right.
Using digital tools and all those presets that come with the software, music software. So it's original, it's unique.
But clearly a lot can be done with a preset and a template.
I'm not arguing that. Don't get me wrong. I actually like a lot of digital music too. And,
A lot of people were saying that they like
electronic.
chill beats.
Yeah, ambient. Like I used to listen to Cafe Del Mar compilations a lot, or Buddha Bar, ambient lounge.
So if you're a quick worker and you haven't yet, check out the challenge tab on be.net/live and participate in our contest where you create an illustration around Lunar New Year and the Year of the Dog for a chance to win.
Okay, somebody was mentioning color, adding color. I'm not going to add color to my bird, but I'm going to show how to do it in Adobe Draw. So typically, when I do work with color, I create another layer right underneath my black outlines, and that's the layer that is going to be filled with color. And one can select a different color by tapping the color icon, and then there's all these presets, default colors, I'm sorry, that you can choose from. Okay, let's see, maybe I'll work with gray, and then I'll just, I will increase my size, and I'll just start overlaying the color, fill in the color where I want it. I'll start with shadows and then add highlights. So I will start with the darker color first, and then when I want to add the lighter color, I place another layer right underneath the previous color layer, and we'll add let's see, a brighter color to add depth and variation.
Cool. Those little palettes are nifty because they come with a variety of tints and shades in them that you can then adjust, like Lydia's done.
Also,
yeah,
so
show that.
also you can sample color from your illustration too.
So if you switch to another color and you're working with that for a while and need to get back to it, all you have to do is long press on color and drag it to the color you want to sample. It's extremely useful. Jim says 100 is a great project, excellent practice, and you would be able to sell them if you wanted. Brands would love to look through a library. Maybe you could charge a premium for exclusivity. Win-win.
Wait, how would I? Oh, I see. That's how the business model would work. So I'll just sell them.
You would sell them to
Full
bands.
If they
Just brand in a box, basically.
That's a good idea. I didn't even think about it.
Jim, you're giving your ideas away for free.
Well, he or she doesn't have 100 album covers.
Well, neither do you, that's what I hear.
Well, I have 11. I have 11 album covers. Come on.
And that's 11 more than me. I'm just yanking your chain.
It's all about the quality. If you want something, I mean, I don't want to publish just like a simple artwork every day. I want something more complex and something that is just looks like I invested some effort and time into it.
Lydia
It's not easy.
Lydia was talking earlier about how she just loves to get into the detail of an illustration, and just it's from what I gather, that love of the act of drawing is sort of what has informed your style.
Yeah, I think this is the style I naturally gravitate towards too, and it was also influenced by the work of people I work with, like Brian Yap, or let's say comic artists I see, whose work I see online.
So, in case you haven't heard, we are doing a giveaway of this lovely, squishy, bright orange, travel size pillow, and all you have to do is participate in the chat, and you might win. It's very useful for nap time. That's about it. So definitely get hype in the chat. Thank you, Kathleen, for helping me create some pillow hype. She's doing a dance. You can't see it, and I wish you could.
Okay, so I'm basically, whoever asked about color, if I'm going to add color or not, so this is how I would add color. I showed how to do it in Adobe Draw, but now I'm going to delete those layers because I don't need them. And going back to making my outlines. I really like just simple graphical look to illustrations, like comic looks, or the old ink drawings, like classic drawings.
What sorts of comics have you been reading or looking to for
I knew
inspiration?
you would ask me that question.
I have to.
Well, I didn't. Okay. I don't read comic books. I just buy them for the illustrations, and I don't even memorize the names.
Okay. Well, I will say that your style reminds me a bit of Charles Burns. Who knows who that is and who's read some of his work or looked at?
Okay, I'll look him up.
Adobe Pillows rock. Yep, they do. Feathers everywhere.
Feathers everywhere.
Alex says, super cool illustration.
Thank you.
And we have our winner. Drum roll. I guess I'm supposed to do that? Okay.
Who's
It
the
is
winner?
Kat Dake. You get an beautiful orange Adobe Illustrator pillow, all of your own. Congratulations. Thank you so much for all of the comments and support and questions. This Valentine the bird, which this is, I think, is still his tentative name, is looking gorgeous.
It's getting better and better with each stroke.
Adobe Pillow sounds like a new nap app. I want that app.
It's a good idea. What would it be? Like, what would that app do, a nap app? Remind you that it's time to take a nap?
I don't need a reminder. I just feel it.
Or it comes up with like a playlist of music that puts you to sleep right after a good lunch.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Sweet vector dreams when you sleep. Do you dream about projects ever, Lydia?
That would
Drawing
be,
away?
those dreams wouldn't be sweet.
Oh.
I must tell that. Well, okay, wait. I can't say that, I guess. So what was the question? Do I dream? I guess I daydream all the time since I can't even remember what the question is. I dream a lot, and I dream almost every night, and all my dreams are extremely vivid and colorful. I know that some people have black and white dreams, or that's what I heard. Some people don't even dream at all, and honestly, I can't really comprehend that because my dreams are so bright, and there are so many of them.
Summarize.
Which could be a source of inspiration, by the way.
Yes. I was just going to suggest that the chat participants summarize their last wild dream in 3 sentences.
Wait, is that a question to me?
No, to the chat. If you, I mean, you're welcome. You're welcome to participate too.
Oh, no. Can I give it a secret?
20 minutes until the challenge deadline. So if you haven't checked out the challenge tab, you have a little bit of time to work. And those of you who are amidst drawing, start wrapping it up so that we can judge all of the gorgeous submissions. I'm always so impressed by what people manage to make in just an hour and a half.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot of time. I'm a very slow worker. I draw slowly, and I'm a little surprised that it kind of flows fast here. I guess it's all that time pressure that contributes to speed, makes things go.
I'm somebody, I don't know about you, Lydia, but I really need that pressure to make things.
Yeah, but it can be draining
That's true.
after a while when you always have pressure. I would rather have no pressure, but it's not possible.
Jose says, my dreams, mixture of superpowers, dogs, and the apocalyptic world.
Ooh, superpowers. What kind of superpowers is that?
They say that your dream superpower says a lot about you, or the things that the superpowers you dream of do. Brian says it'd be something of like Black Mirror,
Ooh.
I've been really enjoying that show.
That's one is a dark.
Yeah, I really
something
wouldn't
like
want to
that.
have dreams like that all the time. Cynthia says she loves the eye of the bird. So do I. It looks so friendly.
Friendly Valentine.
Like
Is that how we
he
should
would
call
perch
him?
on your shoulder.
And whisper you some sweet dreams in your ear.
A pep talk, words of support. He's a good guy.
Or so he looks. You never know what that bird has in its bird head.
I used to dream, Jade says, I used to dream I could float downstairs. Haha. I'd rather float up them.
I guess one of the nightmares that I keep having again and again and again is that I miss my flight
Oh.
or I miss a bus. And I get so disappointed, but there is no way to catch up. And so I wonder what it means from a psychological point of view. Maybe it's some kind of a sign of perfectionism, like being a perfectionist, like you don't want to fail anything
Or miss an opportunity.
or miss an opportunity.
Mhm. Christopher asks, can we still submit the challenge? Yes, you have a precious few minutes left to submit. Lauren says you should create a ladybird wife for Valentine. I mean, he seems like someone who'd be okay with being single to me.
Or, yeah, that's a good point.
Or maybe she's just off screen.
Maybe she wasn't born yet.
Oh. Jose says superpowers in my dreams: flying, super strength, running fast, and stopping time.
Stopping time.
Anaga says, which brush are you using?
So this is a default brush. Adobe Draw comes with it. It's the second one in the list. It's tapered line brush, which like I would say an imitation of a marker, calligraphic marker. Is that how you call it?
Cynthia says, I wear glasses. Sometimes I dream I'm not wearing them, but I also can't put them on in my dream, so my vision is blurry. How funny. I wear glasses too, but I've never had a blurry dream.
That's interesting.
Teeth falling out. I have that one a lot. Thank you all for your submissions. We're gearing up to look at those and review them. And for those who are just tuning in, Lydia is working with Adobe Illustrator Draw to create an illustration that she'll create an animation in Photoshop with, which will then become an augmented reality postcard.
Yeah, so what I did is yesterday I made 4 sketches on my bird, different stages of animation in Photoshop Sketch app. And I exported that image and saved it to my camera roll. And then now I'm using Adobe Draw app that is a vector-based tool. And I placed my bird sketch image into it, and then now I'm just tracing over it and creating vector shape, vector outlines. So next what we're going to do is we can so we'll export this vector artwork. We'll send it to Illustrator and start layouting our postcard. And I'll show it in a moment. I'm almost done with this. So I'm going to create another layer underneath and fill it with color, so that the bird is not transparent, because
Got
we
it.
have a color background in Illustrator, and we're going to place it over that geometric background. So I'm just going to create another layer and underneath my outlines and fill it with white with a background color.
It's so easy to forget that there's nothing behind.
Yeah.
Well, you will notice that the canvas is slightly off-white to try to help you remember.
Actually, yeah.
I was just gonna say, his expression changed. I looked away and he looks much more pensive now.
Much more pensive. I'm going to use this one.
Okay.
That I kind
So we jumped through time.
of, as we do.
As we do.
Sometimes.
Sherry says, fun fact, it's notoriously difficult to count, tell time, or read a long passage of text in dreams. I don't think I've ever done any of those things in a dream.
Yeah, me neither. It's pretty interesting what all of those things people dream about.
Mm-hmm. Can't dial a phone in my dream, as John says. Thank you, Tim. That's very sweet.
So what I'm doing, I'm creating the layer underneath and fill it with the background color, so that when we export the bird when we send the file to Illustrator, we'll have two layers: the outlines and the color fill layer, so that the bird is not transparent against the patterny background. You'll see what I mean when we do that a little later today.
When you're drawing, are you usually just drawing, or are you multitasking? Do you sit on the couch and put on something to watch and draw? Or do you need focus?
Most of the time I do need focus, but I do like listening to, music, obviously, and also some podcasts. So I love listening to Debbie Millman, Design Matters. And I also listen to like Creative Mornings on YouTube. It's inspirational conversations. And
Do you ever listen to 99% Invisible? I've been really enjoying that one lately.
I've heard about it, but never checked it out. But now I guess I will. What is your favorite episode?
They have one that's about, I don't know what the words they used were, but it's basically unfriendly design. You know, spaces that are designed specifically for people to not sit on something or stuff like that. That was really interesting. And there's another episode about 99-cent stores, which is super fascinating.
And what is that about?
It was something about they traveled to this city where a lot of the industry there is just creating one object that companies would buy to put in their stores. It was interesting. I recommend it. Jade asks, do you guys feel the environment you work in is important? I once had to work in an office with no windows. It sent me a little crazy. I love to be near nature, to be able to see outdoors. I will say we are in a windowless room at the moment. What do you think, Lydia?
Yeah, the environment is really important. But after a time, you have to be professional and kind of block it all out and just focus on the work and the result. but it comes with some kind of effort. And everybody's different. Some people they don't really care where they work. All they care about is the actual work and what they do. I admire that ability to kind of distance yourself from your surroundings and just do what you need to be doing. Okay, I think we're ready now to send this file to Illustrator. And that's the beauty of this app, is that you can sketch out something roughly in vectors, or not roughly, or you can create like a very finished illustration, and then just all you need is to press a button and send it to Illustrator, and it will open up with all the layers in Illustrator, and you can save it as an Illustrator file. So if you...
It's very handy.
Yep. So we're waiting for it to show up here. Sometimes it takes time to sync up.
And you could send to Photoshop as well. Lots of, oh, did you see that? Oh no, the iPad's not showing, but there was a little sent icon that showed up. And Adobe magic is happening behind the scenes to get it into your document.
Which takes a while sometimes.
So, Ryan says that looks like it's going to be trippy, hypnotic.
Well, we were talking about dreams, so I
Yeah.
guess it all goes in line.
Have you, I forget what it's called, but it's this old-fashioned toy that has a bird on one side and a cage on the other, and the idea is that you spin it and the bird appears inside of the cage. That's what your illustration reminds me of, but it's free. Valentine is on the go.
Okay, I wonder if it has something to do with a different account I'm using. Sometimes it's helpful when you log in to your Creative Cloud with the right account. And I think right now I'm logged in as a different user on my iPad, but on my laptop I have a second account. So that's why it may not be syncing or sending. But basically, what you will see, let's do this.
In the meantime, we could look at some more submissions if you want.
Okay.
So Jim submitted dog with floppy ears. It looks like you may have used Draw. Is that right? I love how friendly this guy looks. Happy Lunar New Year. Oh, it's adorable. Looks like you worked almost entirely in Illustrator. I like what you did, or how you recontextualized the assets here as a painting on the wall. And the dog is really cute.
I wonder what the leaves stand for. What is the symbolism of the leaves?
It's a ginkgo, but I don't really know what they mean. I'm curious how you made this pattern in perspective. That's really cool. Year of the Doge. Such very wow. Another regal gentleman. We have Ryan's work. Pup Choi, nice. He's a space explorer.
The reflection on the metal.
Mm-hmm. That's a nice touch. Did you use the transform tool to create those little shinies? Or an effect? Zoom out a little. Oh, not in. Out. Well, An adorable pet. What do you think about this one?
It's pretty cute. I like the strong black outline.
Me too.
Kind of accentuates the dog. Makes it even cuter for some reason. Maybe because there's so much roundness to it, to the image.
Did you download that typeface from Typekit? Looks familiar. A different approach.
A sad dog?
I don't know if that expression says sad to me. Perturbed, confused. Maybe he looks like that all the time. We don't know. Some pattern work.
That's interesting. That's different from what everything we've
approach.
seen before.
Some subtle dog prints there. I like it.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I would make them. Well, are we doing review with this too?
If you want.
I guess I would make those footprints bigger and place them and put them in place of the flowers.
Mm-hmm. It's a good idea.
To stress on the dog's presence.
Right. Thank you, Natalia, for your submission. More cats. Oh, or is that a Pomeranian? It's adorable. Some dogs in the background. I like it. Thank you, Lubica. How's your sync going?
Well, as I said, it's not syncing because
okay.
of different accounts, but
Got it.
we can skip that step.
Okay, so some Adobe magic has happened and she now has her sketch in Illustrator. If we switch back to our desktop.
Okay, so as I said, when you finish creating your artwork image on an iPad and Adobe Draw, you can send it to Illustrator, and you'll have all the layers preserved in your Illustrator file. So I already set my artboard the size of a postcard, that is 5 inches by 7. And what I'm going to do now is to create, to start layouting my postcard. That is going to be the trigger for our AR experience later, for our animations. I'm going to add a background layer. It's going to be kind of grayish in color, and I think I want the bird to match the background and be gray too. And I'm going to show how to draw those bright red concentric circles that I had in the beginning. And to do that, well, actually, okay, let's copy this bird and move it over here.
People are saying, or Donna's saying, that is one awesome bird.
Thank you. Okay, it's here. Okay, so to make the concentric circles, you can use a so-called polar grid tool.
Who's heard of that one?
Honestly, I didn't heard of it up until yesterday when I was researching. Like normally I use the blend tool for anything. And then I was like looking, digging into this tool panel, and
where do you find it? It's under the line segment?
Yeah, under the line segment. So there is a whole bunch of other tools like arc tool and spiral and rectangular grid tool that I also never used before. So polar grid tool. When you double click on it, you get this options dialog where you can set the number of your circles, the concentric circles. So I'll keep it at 8. And let's see. Get.
The nifty tip, holding Option to draw from the center. That was easy.
Yeah, so here you get your circles. But I want to change the stroke width. I'll make it a bit thicker.
I
like
see. So instead of filling anything, you just use the stroke width to
Yep.
create that.
And then I'll choose a nice bright color. And I'm also going to create a clipping mask to get rid of the parts that extend beyond the canvas. Right click, make a clipping mask.
Nice and neat.
Also, I don't really need this center circle. I'm going to remove it, and then I'm going to ungroup the whole thing and just have the circles as an individual shapes. And I'm going to fill this one with color.
It's creating a focal point.
Yep. Making it a little bigger so that the red circle is more visible.
That looks great.
So that's our printed piece. The next step, and that's what will happen tomorrow, we'll work on creating animations in Photoshop. So we used Illustrator to lay out our postcard, and we'll use Photoshop to create animations. And then we'll just bring two together, the static postcard image and the animations, using the HP Reveal design tools to create augmented reality. And that's what I'm going to show tomorrow.
That's really exciting. I think that we were talking about this earlier, but I think that Photoshop in particular is just a great tool for illustrators who don't have a lot of animation experience to use to add motion.
And at the beginning of today's session, we run a rough test on to see whether our bird sketches work as an animation, and if we could proceed and start vectorizing them in Adobe Draw.
I think it's really interesting that we're not even finished, and you've already used 3 different apps. You started that sketch in Adobe Photoshop Sketch on your iPad. Then you took it into Adobe Illustrator Draw to vectorize it, and now actually 4. You made an animation test in Photoshop and laid everything out in Illustrator. So it's definitely, and it was all seamless.
Almost. Almost seamless. Yeah, but it's nice to have that kind of cross app workflow.
So do y'all have some questions for Lydia? Let us know in the chat. John suggests you put wind in the sketch.
And how would I put wind in the sketch? Like, what would you suggest exactly visually? What do you see?
Jose says, talented Lydia. She really is. It's been so cool
Talented
to watch you
and
draw.
very nervous Lydia, who forgets English words and confuses some of
No,
them.
Doing great.
It's actually our first experience to be with live streaming. Erica has
This is my very first time. I
and
hope it doesn't show too much. But I'm having a great time.
yeah, and I'm used of hiding behind my work on Instagram and not really doing anything like in real life, and in recordings.
What's your handle, Lydia, so that people can follow you?
Well, it's my first name and my last name. Pretty easy.
Lidia Lukianova. So tomorrow we're going to take these vectors and put them into Photoshop and make that move.
Yes, and hopefully I will have all 4 birds vectorized. Well, actually let me continue and work on them.
Okay.
So to make the frame animations, I need to create vector versions of my sketches. Since we're planning to have 4 frames, I need 4 birds, and you see them all here, right here.
One question I have is, what's the benefit to drawing the birds in full rather than the wing moving?
Well, I think it depends on how much detail and variation you want to have, but you can just easily, okay, there's another thing you can do. You can just copy the first bird, since it's a pretty simple animation. It's going to be simple, and you're going to view it through your phone, so it's going to be tiny on the screen. So nobody will actually really see a lot of the details. It will get lost. So another thing you can do, you can just duplicate your first bird layer, and then use parts of it with your next bird. Like, for example, I can still keep the head, right? So I can erase the parts I don't need, like the second wing behind.
That saves so much time.
With the eraser tool. I mean, well, thank you that you pointed it out. I would completely forget to mention it.
Kat
so
says,
you can,
"Great, Lydia, great job and very inspiring."
Thank you. I really look forward of seeing a lot of artwork and illustration that have this AR enhancement to them on Behance.
Yes, if you've ever worked with AR, definitely share that in the chat. We'd love to see it.
Okay,
So you're just erasing everything that you
the
will
parts I don't
redraw.
want. And actually what I can do, maybe, so I'll duplicate this layer one more time, and I'll just keep the wing. There's the head. So leave the wing, go back to the one that has the head, and here I will erase the wing, and then assemble all the pieces together.
There we go. I didn't totally follow that, so I'm looking forward to seeing what you mean.
Oh, sorry.
No,
If it's not clear. So basically, I just have, I duplicated my bird layer 3 times.
Okay.
The first one, I just left the head.
Got it.
So the second one, just the wing.
Got
and
it.
I'm going to transform it and rotate it. I mean, it's not exactly the right way, but maybe you can still keep parts of it. if you
Yeah,
want.
that saves
And
you
like,
so much time.
Yeah. Instead of drawing the bird from scratch again.
Yeah. Sherry says, "I wish I could have spent more time watching. I really need to beef up my Illustrator skills." Join us tomorrow so that we can see how this animates. Anita says, "Thank you for your time."
Thank you for joining us.
The chat suspects that Kathleen's a robot. I cannot verify.
Yeah, so and then you just keep adding details to the parts you kept from the previous illustration, and makes it really easy and quicker. You can finish these birds in like 2 hours. Apparently I
amazing.
can't, but you will be able to.
If you've already drawn an entire bird, that's an accomplishment. And I suppose that since you duplicated the head and it's identical to the first, that'll help you line it up too.
Well, you can always make it look a little bit different. I don't know, add some details.
And for those who have just joined or have followed up from since yesterday, we have named this bird Valentine.
Well, I think we named it like a sweet Valentine?
Oh, Sweet Valentine?
Or what were other cool names we had? We had actually a whole bunch of nice names today.
Yeah. I should have written them down.
I thought that's what you were doing, no?
You want to give me another job, Lydia? All you're doing is drawing.
And talking, and explaining the process, and conceptualizing. It's a lot of work. Like I'm 100%, 150% busy. Which is actually good to challenge yourself, because normally when you work, you don't really talk and explain your process. You just focus on your work.
Right.
So it's a new experience for me to do things simultaneously, create art, and then also talk about it, and also try to sound intelligent when I describe the process, which could be hard.
That I can verify. You sound highly intelligent.
Such a nice person. But with a little bit of training, I know like if I do that like 10 sessions like this, I'll probably be good.
Kevin,
So I hope.
You're halfway there. Kevin says you can use Puppet Warp to alter the movement. I am so glad that you are experimenting with that. It's such a wonderful new tool. I recommend everybody check it out.
And she actually created a tutorial on how to use Puppet Warp tool
That's true.
and the artwork.
It's true. If you see a white dog somewhere on adobe.com, I designed that.
So I draw birds, and Erica draws.
I drew a dog one time. I'm so in awe.
But that's how it starts.
I know. I need to practice.
Anyway, so this was our little tip. You can copy your previous bird, parts of your previous bird image, and then paste and transform and add on more detail.
Okay.
To save time and to
Lydia.
speed things up.
It's time. It's time for final reviews of our challenge today.
Okay,
So
I'm
folks
ready.
submitted illustrations inspired by Lunar New Year and the Year of the Dog, and we have a few left to show you. This one is super detailed, and it looks like they have adopted a little bit of your technique.
Yeah, I like
Of the
that.
fur.
I like the style. I also like 2 layers. So conceptually, there are 2 layers.
Mm-hmm.
The landscape that builds the dog image and kind of is well integrated into it, and I like that. And there's also nice contrast too.
I agree. I like that there's a human element in there too, and sort of a story that's coming out. Such a charming illustration. I love his little shoes.
I can see it would make a cool animation.
Yes. Definitely tune in tomorrow so you can see how to make this little guy dance. And cheers with the champagne. He needs a friend. Thank you, Josephine, for submitting that.
Well, that's one. I like the
Jazzer?
style of that.
Me too. He's a grimy guy and Creative Cloud branded.
How was it made?
How
I
did you make
wonder.
this, Jazzer?
So it looks very painterly.
Mm-hmm. Did you use a mobile app? He's a little Jazzer, Kathleen says. I like that.
That's interesting. Very different. Like he's with us, but at the same time not.
He's looking forward into the
Into the
future.
new year.
Yes.
I like the idea behind it.
Me too. And I think that the line quality of the fireworks is really beautiful. Thank you, Lauren. Clifford the Chinese dog. He's big
Nice.
and red. I think
It's
that's cute.
minimalistic but easy to read. I like that too.
There's everything you need there. We know it's a dog. Thank you, Yusuf.
This one is dreamy. It's a dreaming dog. We were
Yeah.
talking about dreams earlier.
It's a poster.
It's a dog
Rosa.
using a pen tool, or parts of it being created with a pen tool?
Looks like it. We have those Beziers. I like the typography, use of gradients. You spent some time on this.
And the concept is
And the
cool.
concept. He's dreaming.
He's a dreamer.
We talked about, okay, so now we have to choose a winner. So I kept a few of my personal favorites around, and I'm wondering which one you liked.
They're all pretty smart, I must say, both technically and conceptually. But I think my personal favorite is the first one you showed, where the
This one?
Well, no, the very first one. I like this one too.
The very first one.
Yes, there is a moon and lish.
This?
That, yes, the forms the number 2018, which is smart, and I like this the kind of warm, radiant red color.
Great.
I also like the second one that you showed earlier, and that is the one with the roses.
This one.
Yeah. So it's really hard to choose. Really hard. They're all nice.
I like how this one took the template and ran with it. So they have the border around still.
Okay, I think this is my.
Okay.
This is the
Ariane Borna, you have won our challenge. Great job. Thank you so much, everyone who submitted. It's not easy to have your work put on display, and every single one of them was just a dream to look at. So thank you. Everyone's saying congrats, Ariane. Stored as a national treasure in their YouTube account. It's true. So if we could switch back to Lydia, you can draw
Okay.
a little more.
Do we have time? 10 minutes?
We are 5 minutes out.
Okay, well, let's recap.
Okay.
So what we've done. So yes, we're using 3 tools to create augmented reality experience. And that is 2 mobile apps. The raster-based app, and that is Adobe Sketch. And that's the app I use to make my pencil sketches of the birds that you can see here, which I placed in Adobe Draw. That is a vector drawing tool. It helps you to create scalable vector graphics. And wait, we used 4 tools. Okay, Illustrator. So after I've drawn my birds in Adobe Draw, I send them to Illustrator to lay out my postcard file. And then the actual animations will be done in Photoshop, and we'll show how to do it tomorrow. Even though we kind of showed it a little bit in the beginning, we showed how to make frame animations. So 4 tools. Yeah.
That is quite a workflow. I'm really excited to see this move tomorrow. Coming up next, we have Mark Uzmiani and Kathleen working in Illustrator, doing more, I think, are we drawing a knight today? Who knows? Yesterday, Mark was working on a really cool sword illustration. And I'm excited to see what he does today. Definitely tune in tomorrow to see how this all comes together in augmented reality. And Lydia's going to show you how to create frame animation from a static drawing. I'm really excited.
And I think we always forget to mention the actual AR tool that we're going to use to bring everything together, the postcard image and the animations. So that tool is called HP Reveal, and previously it was called Orasma app. So tomorrow, what we're going to do, we're going to log into my account on their website, and that's their like design studio And this is where we upload the JPEG with a postcard image, and then I will upload also my animation and place it on top of it and like save it and publish. And then on my phone I have the HP Reveal app downloaded. It's a free app, and I will have a printed postcard, and I'll view it through my phone through this app, which will translate the static image into animations. So that's what will come next tomorrow.
That's really exciting. I can't wait to see what you do. And beautiful drawing so far.
Thank you.
Have a couple more to do, it seems. Everyone, thank you so much for being so welcoming. Voodoo Val is really excited to see it come to life. People are excited about HP Reveal. Christopher says it seems better than the Wacom tablet. People are saying.
I have a Wacom tablet too.
Me too.
Like it. It's good to try different tools just to know what is on the market, and just to be flexible.
Yeah, you never
There's
know what
always
they're
a
going to
good
have in your
advice,
studio. And everything is good for something.
Mm-hmm.
And congrats to our winners today of the pillow and the Lunar New Year illustration contest. And thank you again for submitting.
I think maybe we should give out have another giveaway for the name of the bird, because there were some really cool ideas there.
We need a prize before we can do another giveaway.
Do we still have socks left? No.
Everyone, thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Stay tuned for Mark and Kathleen.
Bye.